What about Spurs, John? They've lost 4-0 against Newcastle, 3-2 at home to Arsenal in the derby, and now this 2-0 victory. So that's 3 defeats on the bounce, 9 goals conceded. They are in a rut. What do you put it down to?
Well, no wonder the headline is Angry Ange there, because if anyone saw Pat Davison's interview with him post-match, then they would understand the sentiment behind it. I mean, in commentary, they were talking, weren't they, about Postecoglou being particularly upset in the first half about the way that his team were defending. Listen, I think there's been a lot of love for Postecoglou, and I think he's got a lot of favourable press. But I really think that basically, if you're going to take the plaudits, then you also have to take the criticism. And frankly, I think that some of the performances lately, I mean, the crushing defeat at Newcastle was lamentable. Their defending, particularly from set pieces on Sunday against Arsenal, was really, really poor. And then tonight, I just thought it was embarrassing, really, to concede 2 goals. One was a set piece and one was a follow-on from a set piece, having had the manager kind of ridiculing the notion that set pieces and defending set pieces and free kicks was in any way remotely important. I just thought was ridiculous. It highlights, his failings, I think, really, and he looks a worried man, I think, and he looked a troubled man, and he got very snappy with Pat. Pat did ever so well in the interview, I thought, from a journalistic point of view, to kind of keep it going, keep him talking, and actually get something from it, which was, worthwhile. But I actually think that Postecoglou looks as if he's got a few troubles on his plate. The level of performance nowhere near good enough. I mean, bearing in mind they haven't had European competition, it's difficult to justify the argument that they might be tired or fatigued after a hard season. They just seem to have been completely running out of momentum and steam. Listen, I think they've had a good season, a better season than perhaps I thought they might have after selling Harry Kane on the eve of it. But now they really don't want to kind of see it kind of peter out and fade away horribly like this. I do think that Postecoglou, for the first time, is facing difficult questions, and he's showing the pressure, not handling it particularly well, and he needs a response from his team. And I think he needs to kind of, put on a better face, frankly, for the Spurs fans than he is currently doing so.
Jonathan, Spurs started the season so well, and this Ange ball, phenomenon, and look, we don't need Harry Kane. And then I mentioned, 0 points out of 9 in that same time. Aston Villa have taken 7 points out of 9, and they are the ones now absolutely in the box seat for Champions League. They've got Liverpool to come. They've got Manchester City to come. Spurs. What can they do in these last 4 games? It feels like Champions League is just maybe a bridge too far.
Yeah, this is turning into a monumental catfish season from Spurs. If Postecoglou had started the season the way he's finishing it, he wouldn't have got past halfway. He wouldn't have made it to Christmas. Now, I think Spurs will improve quite a lot next season, and I'm basing that on his records, where he is. It's the second season when his ideas have managed to take root and they've made the big leap forward. But I'm kind of taking that on blind faith, really, and I think a lot of Spurs fans are being asked to do the same. If you look at the bare facts, they'll probably get, they play Manchester City, Liverpool, but let's say, they get about 65, 66 points, which is worse than Conte's first season, the Nuno Conte season. It's worse than, I think, all but one of Pochettino's seasons, and it's actually worse than the Tim Sherwood season in 13-14. They may finish higher in the league, but that's because United have regressed and Brighton have regressed and Newcastle have regressed, so they've actually benefited from that. So the great leap forward hasn't actually come yet. They are not a markedly, substantially better team than they were 12 months ago. What's changed is the vibes, and Postecoglou, as we all know, is brilliant at the vibes. That is a big part of it. He's a fantastic communicator. But next season, they are going to have to make that big leap forward, because otherwise, Spurs fans are going to think, well, this guy who's come without any experience in a big league, who has built his career on wins against, Dundee and Kuwait and, Summer Heights High and Aurora Red Diamonds and Vissel Kobe. But can he actually improve elite players to a level that Spurs fans demand? And I think that's the big leap of faith we're all being asked to take at the moment. And at the moment, the performances and the results aren't there. He's going on about sort of, the direction of travel. What's the direction of travel been since they beat Villa 4-0? Right, sort of 7 points out of 21, something like that. So that's the worry at the moment.